So again, Leadership Louisville Center is the host of some amazing leadership programs in our community. If anyone here is an alumni of a program, I know Chris Sanders and Elizabeth from the Center for Women and Families are both recent alumni, but any other, if you've been through Focus Louisville or Ignite Louisville or anything like that over the years, Leadership Louisville, Bingham Fellows, please throw that in the chat too. We'd love to know who our alumni are. But we're here this morning to talk about our community acceleration teams and how our leadership program participants are doing outstanding work, absolutely free for the nonprofits in our community. We use our alumni and our participants for the benefit of the community. They love doing the work. It's a great way to get people more involved in the community, which is actually our mission, but it also really pays off for the organizations that we partner with. So for those of you that are not familiar with Leadership Louisville, we are a nonprofit. We've been in Louisville for over 40 years. We're located on Main Street, right down the street from the Science Center. And our mission is to inspire and equip leaders to be better and do better. And it's as simple as we want to get more people involved in the greater good of our city. We do this through a lot of our community leadership programs that you might be familiar with. Looks like we've got some Focus Louisville alumni and some Ignite alumni and more in the audience. I see Cassidy's here, an Ignite grad. Shauna's here from Ignite. So love having our alumni back. But this is kind of the meat and potatoes of what Leadership Louisville does. Focus Louisville is a 3-day introduction to our city. Ignite Louisville is a 6-month emerging leaders development program. Leadership Louisville is a 10-month executive experience to take a really deep dive into issues in our community. Bingham Fellows is a year-long program where we take a very deep dive on one specific issue and develop project teams to try to address an opportunity or a challenge in our city. And then Encore Louisville was just developed in 2015 as a way for our alumni, our baby boomers, as they may or may not be retiring or transitioning out of their primary career, but as a way for them to stay involved and to continue to give back using their decades of wisdom and experience. We also at Leadership Louisville have a division in training and skills-based work. So we have open enrollment courses here at the center under our Leadership Green Room brand. We also go into companies and deliver trainings and workshops of all types for all different kinds of companies in our community. So that's only in the last 5 or 6 years have expanded our leadership training division, and it is really, really growing right now. So that kind of brings us to our community acceleration teams. These were birthed originally out of the Ignite Louisville program because part of the work of that group is to form teams as part of their leadership journey, learning how to work with each other, learning how to work through differences. It's kind of the service learning component of Ignite. And it has expanded to include the work of Encore Louisville. And that is where we came up with this idea to bring these together under the moniker of community acceleration teams. In the average year, this is not like cumulative, in the average year, our program participants donate over 5,000 hours of service to the nonprofit community. And the value is minimum every year of $500,000. Last year, it was more like $730,000. Some of that is actual donations brought in. Most of it is in kind or partnerships or getting donations. I mean, there's a billion ways how that value takes place. But it all comes from our amazing program participants who get engaged in the community through our community acceleration teams. So this morning, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about what they are, and I've already started in on that a little bit. We'll talk through a little bit of the sample projects, some examples of things that have happened over the last few years. We'll talk a little bit about how to submit a proposal because there is a deadline. It's the end of August, basically, to get your proposal in. And so we'll talk through a little bit about that process, which has actually been streamlined and simplified, so it's easier than ever to apply. And then we will be available for some Q&A. But again, feel free, if something I'm saying isn't clear or you have questions, want more details, please make sure you throw that in the chat room and we can answer questions as we go. So I'm going to dive in first and talk about the difference. So we have this thing called community acceleration teams. The community acceleration teams come from 2 different programs. and do two different types of work. Now, this is not important for you to know when applying, because when you apply for a team, you're just going to tell us what the issue is. We'll talk about that later, how to apply. You don't need to decide whether you want this type of team or that type of team. We have a process where our alumni themselves read the proposals and the applications, and we'll decide whether we think this is a better fit for one program or the other. So you don't need to select, but it's good to know if you get selected to move to the next round, you will get an invitation to either come and present to Encore Louisville or Ignite Louisville. So I just want to spend a minute letting you know what the differences are between these two programs. So Encore Louisville is teams that we will refer to as strategic consulting teams. And Ignite Louisville, we will refer to as project-based teams. Ignite projects are a little bit longer. They're a little more boots on the ground. And Encore teams are much more high level and strategic, but you're getting the benefit of decades and decades of executive level experience from the participants in that program. So let's dive in. What is Ignite Louisville? Ignite Louisville is a 6-month-long program for emerging leaders. Most of the folks in the class are between 25 and 45 years old. They've been identified by their companies as high performing, high potential, and each class is divided into 6 teams, and those 6 teams meet with nonprofits at their opening retreat to partner with for the duration of their Ignite experience. By the time we go through the matchmaking, the project ends up being more like 5 months long. And there are 6 to 8 participants per team, and they are going to do a different kind of project than Encore. We'll dive into that in just a second. But know that the next Ignite program is going to launch in October of this year. Normally, there would be also one in April, but there's some exciting stuff going on at Leadership Louisville in 2023. And we are putting the April Ignite session on hold because we're going to launch a different program in its place. But Ignite will be back in 2024 with 2 more sessions per year. So it'll start this October. It'll also start next October. We won't be starting one for the April session. So Ignite Louisville, they are going to spend their 6-month experience gaining leadership skills. They're going to learn personal branding. They're going to learn innovation. They are going to learn communication skills. They're going to learn teamwork and team building. Meanwhile, they're putting those skills to work in a nonprofit service project. And there is a winner. It is worth noting that in Ignite, they have a specific deadline to accomplish their work by the end of their program, because they have to get on a stage and talk about what they did for their partner organization. There is a panel of community leaders who judge, and the nonprofit that has the best outcomes from their team gets a $1,500 cash award. So there's actually a little bit of funding that can happen on the back end if your team happens to be the winning team out of that class. Encore Louisville was designed by our alumni in 2015. Actually, it's worth noting Ignite was started in 2004. So coming up on 20 years of results from the Ignite Louisville program. Encore is in year 7. And this was developed by our alumni who've already done, most of them have done the Leadership Louisville program. Maybe they've also been through Bingham Fellows. They want to continue giving back to the community, but they've kind of run through our programs. And so how can they continue to serve as they approach retirement? Maybe they're retired, maybe they've transitioned out of their primary role and are now have a consulting career going. But this group will form smaller teams of much higher level executives for an approximately 90 to 120 day project cycle. There are 3 project cycles per year in Encore. And we usually pick 5 or 6 teams per project cycle, leading to somewhere in the vicinity of 20 projects per year that the program will get through. This group is much more likely to bring you high-level strategic consulting. It's like having your own personal sounding board for these 3 or 4 months. Most of the participants in this program have been the executive. They have been a nonprofit CEO, or they have been a very significant leader in a large corporation, or they have been a small business owner. We have everything from folks in education to government, to big businesses like Humana, Brown Forman, and everything in between. So you're getting really significant level leadership to partner with you and help you work through your needs for the 3 or 4 months of their projects. And these projects start in January, May, and August. So what kind of projects do they do? So based on who they are, you can probably get a sense of the differences. So Encore is going to do more in-depth analysis, research. They're going to give you guidance on process improvement. They'll do some organizational structure assessments. They can look at boards. If you struggle with your board of directors, your board isn't engaged, your board needs to grow, they can give advice. They're really good at assessing whether your board is doing the proper role of a board of directors. They are great at identifying partners and doing outreach to help you grow your impact. They have advised nonprofits on very high-level strategic partnerships in the past. And they cannot, in their time frame, they're not going to be able to do a full strategic plan for you, but they can do some exercises and facilitation to help identify some strategic goals and kind of the pre-work that might help you into a strategic plan. They've even done some great work identifying strategic planning partners that can help you get that type of a project done. So that's the strategic consultant work of a team that might come from the Encore program. From Ignite, you're going to get a little more boots on the ground, a little bit more getting your hands dirty in terms of helping you maybe plan fundraising events or evaluating your fundraisers to see maybe why they're not as effective as they have been. Looking at your marketing plans, looking at bylaws and handbooks and updating websites, refreshing branding, looking at programs. They've helped develop and launch new programs before. They have looked at data systems and helped you get connected to a new client, a CRM or something like that. And they've also done a lot of great work in helping you with analytics and evaluation. So you're getting, on Encore, again, it's a shorter term, higher level, Ignite, longer term, more emerging leader level. Not interns, though. These are not folks that are just going to take things off your plate. They are looking for ways to make a sustainable impact. And so I kind of want to get into, they do not just do fundraising. They're not just going to go raise money, sell tickets, sell sponsors, or anything that you would have interns doing. So this is just not a way to get volunteers to help stuff envelopes or to help make calls. So this is, think of them much more as you're getting consultants, you're getting free consulting work from these teams over the time that they would be working with you. I'll slow down here because I'm about to move into the next section. If anybody has any questions about the differences between these two programs, feel free to chime in or throw it in the chat. Looking at my watch, making sure I'm on time. So let's talk a little bit about some sample projects. So a few outcomes from the last few years, and I'll kind of rush through these. On our website at leadershiplouisville.org, you can click on the, and I'll show you exactly where the button is. You can click on our menu system to how we help nonprofits. And there are tons of sample outcomes from Ignite and Encore teams over the last several years. If you want to get a sense of the nonprofits that they've worked with and the types of work they've done, there's a ton of examples on our website, but every one of them, to be very honest, is unique. There is not a cookie cutter project that they work on. They really listen and talk to the nonprofit they're partnering with to figure out what the needs are, and then they design an action plan based on that. So here's a few samples of things that they have done. So teams that have come out of the Ignite program, a few years ago, they worked with Louisville Youth Group. Louisville Youth Group is a space for LGBTQ youth, and they helped do rebranding. They helped redesign the physical space. They were able to get some donated items, furniture, interior design work. They helped develop a marketing plan. They helped deploy Salesforce for the organization. They helped with HR policies. They also launched a new ribbon cutting for their redesigned space. Were able to get the mayor and some media to attend and help line up community partners for them to work with moving forward. The team is sitting there holding their trophies. They're very proud of having won the Ignite Challenge with this project. And so, yeah, that was Louisville Youth Group. Another team worked with a nonprofit called Inside the Lines. This was actually a few years back, and I know Anthony with Inside the Lines has come back and has been working with an Encore team in 2022. So if you have one or the other, you can circle back around to us after a little bit of time has passed and maybe get a different team to work with you on a different project. But when Ignite was working with Inside the Lines, this is an after-school program that works on education and athletics and serves in the west end of Louisville. So they helped find a physical location and helped arrange a lease for the nonprofit to work. They helped them narrow their scope because Anthony wanted to do everything for every age group and every sport. And they're like, no, we need to start a little bit smaller. Helped him get set up on financials, on QuickBooks, helped him do some hiring, worked on press releases, and then we're even able to help throw a golf scramble fundraiser. Now, it's going to be up to when they throw the fundraisers, they're usually very involved in helping plan and execute, but they're going to need your involvement in terms of engaging your community to attend. So don't think they can throw the fundraiser and bring all the guests too. You're going to need to be involved in all of this work. We'll now look at Encore, and I'll speed through a couple of samples projects that Encore has accomplished in recent years. The type on this is very small, sorry. The Delta Foundation is a nonprofit, also athletic-based, works in the Portland neighborhood, and the Encore team was able to help do board development, help create bylaws for the board, help create committees for the board, help come up with job descriptions, also some financial help and some guidance on how to keep track of finances, and also overall look at the bylaws for the organization to help them get off to a good start. This nonprofit had only been around a short time, maybe a couple of years, and so they still needed some of that groundwork helped to be laid, and the Encore team was able to help. The Junior League of Louisville, though, much more established. They've been in Louisville 100 years plus, and the Encore team was able to work with them on fundraising planning. So they were working on a sustainable annual giving campaign. They did some surveys. They did some research on successful fundraising campaigns for junior leagues in other cities. They brought in a plan, an outline. They helped also lay the groundwork for foundations and grant-making organizations in town that they might be able to apply for and try to find funding locally. So 2 examples from Ignite, 2 examples from Encore of the types of projects that have been done. And it looks like Callie threw in the chat, thank you, Callie, some links to where we have put outcomes from community acceleration teams in the past. Any questions from anybody so far? Feel free to jump in. And then I'm going to spend a couple minutes here talking you through how to apply and give you the link to the website. Actually, Callie, if you could get that ready, the proposal link, and be ready to throw that in the chat, that would also be fantastic. So the time frame there, we accept proposals twice a year, once now, and then it closes on August 29th, and then once it'll start up again in January and February of 2023. There is a deadline to submit because there is a committee of alumni that will get together in September to review all the proposals, determine which are the best for each type of team, and then notify you if you've been invited to come and make a presentation to those programs. So at leadershiplouisville.org, and Callie threw it in the chat box, there is more information about this and a link to a form. Again, don't worry about which type of community acceleration team you need. You don't get to pick. You're going to tell us more about what is the opportunity or the challenge that you're experiencing, and then the committee that we have will determine whether this is a better fit for an Encore team or an Ignite team. And sometimes there have been both. We have had proposals that start with an Encore team, then the Encore team identifies some opportunities and ends up handing it off to an Ignite team. So our goal is to find help for you. So you just tell us what is the issue and let us try to figure out the best way to identify some help. So this is from our website. When you go to leadershiplouisville.org, you will see a button that says who we are on the top left. And if you click that, there's a drop-down menu and it says how we help nonprofits. You can see that highlighted. That will take you to the page where all of this info is listed. And then Callie has also put a link directly to it in the chat. But if you didn't copy it down, you're looking later at leadershiplouisville.org, go to who we are, how we help nonprofits, and that is the landing page for community acceleration teams. The question we always get is, am I eligible? So you do have to have your 501c3. If you're just thinking about starting a nonprofit, this is not right for you. We're looking for nonprofits that exist. If you have applied but not received your 501c3, but you have a fiscal agent in the community, we will consider those proposals. But if you haven't even applied yet, and you're still even in the discovery stage, I would refer you to the Center for Nonprofit Excellence. They have amazing resources. They have great classes, very low cost or free, to help you get a nonprofit started. So this isn't here to help you get it started. This is for nonprofits that are underway with programming. So 501c6s also eligible. Government agencies have worked with teams in the past. We've worked with universities and school districts and B Corps. So I don't know if we've had a B Corp work with us yet, but they are now eligible also to partner with a community acceleration team. So again, we are looking for you to be something that is up and running and providing services. It's hard to help if you're at the, haven't even really started yet with any programming, and at, total base level. There are great resources, and I'm happy to point you to them, but this isn't it. Serving the Louisville metro region. So Southern Indiana is eligible. We've gone as far as Shelbyville. We've gone as far as Bullitt County. Given the virtual world we live in, if you're a little bit further out and you're curious, feel free to apply. I can't guarantee a team would pick the project, but E-Town, Lexington, Frankfort, we've talked about now that things can be done virtually. That would potentially be something we could do. You do have to have the CEO and the executive director actively involved. So if you have not yet cleared this with the leader of the organization, do that before we start, because if these teams are going to get anything done, they have to have leadership involvement. Depending on what the project is, it's great to have support of the board of directors as well, unless they are the problem that you need help with. That might be a reason that you don't seek that, but we have had challenges where a board does not know that this help has been asked for. So when the team comes with some great suggestions, the board is too skittish to implement, and then this was not a good use of time for anybody. So we want to make sure that the board supports, that leadership at your nonprofit supports it, and that you have the time to do this. It's not going to be a full-time job, but these teams have a limited window of time, and so they're going to need engagement from you to have meetings, to supply information, to answer questions. So you need to be responsive if this is going to be of value to you. If you take a month to set up the first meeting with the team, then if you think that your calendar is so full that you can't schedule a meeting until 2 months out, this might not be the best use of time for you or for the team. So the proposal form itself, and it's been streamlined. It used to be really long, and we've really whittled down the questions. There's a lot of just basic information, your budget, and we're asking current budget, not aspirationally, but current budget, staff size, your mission statement, your website, a short description of your who you serve and how you serve them. What are your programs? What are your services? How do you help the community that you serve? And then we ask you to describe 1 or 2 major issues or opportunities you would like a team to work with you on. And we need more than a couple of sentences, but we don't need an essay on that one. Try to flesh out, though, I have this challenge. This is the thing that keeps me up at night. Our messaging is not landing with our audience. We have an opportunity to serve more, and we don't know how to reach them. And I could really use a community acceleration team to help with whatever. I mean, just don't say, I just need help, or you need help with finance, fundraising, board development, and marketing. That's way more than any one of these teams can accomplish in the time frame. So try to narrow your scope to something that you think could be done in the time frame of these teams. And then there's also some check boxes that just kind of say, how do you think this hits? Is this a marketing challenge? Is this a board development challenge? There's a drop-down menu with how you could categorize the issues. But he says, is there a specific deadline set for the January to February proposal round? I don't think there is, but it wouldn't be hard to figure out, and I can follow up with you on that. The deadline for this round is August 29th. It'll open up again early next year. Because there is not an Ignite starting in April, when we open it up early next year, only Encore would be doing those projects. So if you want to have the full menu of our choices available, it's better to get it in now than to wait until January. As part of the process, we ask for your 501c3 determination letter. If you don't have that available or you're not a 501c3, just let us know that. Form 990 is requested, and if you have a budget overview, preferably audited, we'll ask you for that also. Those are not required, but those are preferred to submit those. You're probably used to submitting that with most applications for funding and for help. So hopefully those are readily available for you. Again, the timeline here is August 29th. And then if you are selected, and honestly, guys, I'll tell you this, the last 2 years because of COVID, the problem we have had is not too many proposals. The problem has been too few. So we've actually been able to serve most of the folks that have applied over the last 2 years. Most, not all, but the proposals that are coming in right now are going to serve the Encore sessions that start in early 2023 and the Ignite that starts this fall, and the actual date that you would pitch to Ignite is November 1st.